Good evening, Central family. Are you ready? But are you red and ready? Who are we together with? We are together with Tyra. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me distinct honor and privilege to stand here before you to go to bat for my sister, my sister-in, Tyra Trotman. You see, these communities of St. Michael Central, as Rudy just told you, is batterbound right there off of Bank Hall Crossroad. I got Prescott Bottom, I got Motley Land, I got Halls Land, I got Skeets Road, and we all got on the next side. Queen Victoria, where else? Exactly. We are just divided by an invisible line. That ain't nothing, because our communities are together. Together, like y'all together with Tyra. So the truth of the matter is that when I come to speak to you here tonight, I speak with the authority of a representative, a candidate that serves a constituency, that is linked by blood, by heart, by families with yours. And I have to tell you tonight that I want to have a conversation with you about where I have come from, because it is similar to my sister as well. So I have a confession to make. I feel like if I'm in a Roman Catholic church and I'm about to give my confession. Confessions of the soul. I come from a family that primarily had allegiance to the Democratic Labour Party. I admit. But you see, in 2013, I met a lady by the name of Mia Amor Motley. Just a chance happening. I was a young man, just like Tyra's a young lady. And I can be honest with you. It wasn't hard for her to get me. She had me at hello. Yeah, for true. The charisma. She looked at me, right? And my mother taught her at Queen's College. Taught her languages, Spanish, French, and Latin. You don't even see Latin in schools no more. And she said, Christopher, that's you? Because she would have remembered me from a little boy. That's you? And she gave me a big hug. I was shocked. The warmth of the woman. You know, her charisma. She had me. And I worked with her from then. I saw in her the vision that you see now. The vision of a leader. And Marcia just talked about the interview with Trevor Noah. Let me tell you, she was able to explain to Trevor what being a Bajan meant, what Bajan strong means. We leverage our culture, our cultural diversity, our history with slavery, which has developed our resilience as a people. The truth is that we are a proud people. And there was a time when we used to export nurses, doctors, lawyers overseas, and they also carried the flag of what is Bajan strong overseas. So she had me. But the truth is that as a young man, I experienced the ravages of the lost decade. Truth be told, I lived on the South Coast, and I had to drive through that stench, the sewage, every day. I can remember I was in Massey parking lot, and I see a little tourist child playing, jumping up in the puddles. I had to run and say, no, don't do that. That's gonna make you sick. It was embarrassing. And the truth is that when Ralph talks about our Prime Minister's travels overseas, and he said, oh, he's traveling too much and all this. But we got two natural resources here in this country. We got Rihanna, and we got Mia. Not true. and she leads the flag overseas as the #1 ambassador. The truth is, when she go overseas, people look at her and ask her, what you want? That's the truth. How much money you want? And that money is not spent on salaries, wages and salaries like the last administration. That money is used for development of this country. So when she asked me in 2018 to be the chairman of the Barbados Tourism Investment Inc., I gladly accepted. And as a son of the city of Bridgetown, as a third-generation businessman who believes in the city and the fact that as the city goes, the city is the heart of Barbados. As the city goes, so goes the rest of Barbados. So her vision for the city was my vision as well. And the truth is, at the Barbados Tourism Investment Inc., we engaged in a number of projects that will revitalize the city of Bridgetown. Freedom Park. You heard what she said at Freedom Park? To meet me at Freedom Park. The history, the BTI built that. We also did the Marcus Garvey Amphitheater. These are cultural projects. And the truth is that it's like if our Prime Minister and the Cabinet had a crystal ball. They could see that there needs to be a diversification of our products in this country. You can't just rely on sun, sea, and sand. She saw that we need to leverage our cultural assets to be able to make money from them too. So we can attract a different sort of tourist. Because you know with the man up north, you never know what he can do. He got the goalpost over here. He got the goalpost over there. You're just going from left to right, hopping from one foot to the next. You don't know what to do. We cannot solely rely on that link like we used to before. So we need to diversify our offerings so that we can attract tourists from South America, tourists from Africa. And I could tell you, as she came in and hit the ground running, she recognized that I have to deepen these ties and relationships with those people. But you hear Ralph talking about the Afrexim Bank opening and poo-pooing that, how we give it the land, yada, 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 yada. But he's just jealous that he can't get it done. Because the truth of the matter is that when those structures go up, and those are derelict properties, and I can talk to you about that tonight as Minister of Housing. You got a bunch of derelict properties around Barbados sitting down, catching rats, the parrots get inside there, starting fires. What you want to do? Sit down, look at derelict properties all the time? That's what Ralph want? But what we have done is rejuvenate and revitalize those properties and bring value out of them so that we can have a trade center, so that we can solidify the links of Africa and Barbados. We know that those links historically were established for nefarious reasons, those reasons being the slave trade. But we get as a people to change that, write our own history, and solidify those relations. And that is what your Prime Minister is doing for you. Truth be told. So don't mind Ralph and that. But as I go on, when I was the chairman of the BTI, we did the Constitution River Phase 3, and Marcia could tell you about that because she was there as Minister of Economic Affairs. And she would tell you that the Dems had Constitution River just sitting down there. They take the money from the CDB and then do nothing with it. Because you know the foreign reserves they were critical. If you sneeze, they're gone. The wind blow too hard, they're gone. Not true? So that was the first mission that we had, to prop up the foreign reserves, to stabilize the economy. And the Dems sat on Constitution River, which was not only just a beautification project, but it's also a flood mitigation project, so that out there don't flood. Remember how Halls Road used to flood out? Marcia would tell you. But that fixed that problem. And it also opens up economic opportunity for people. Because we ain't gonna stop there. We're gonna also do vending stalls all along. So when the people come for Hyatt, for Pierhead, for Carlisle House Hotel, for Cricket Hotel by government procurement, What are they going to do? They're going to venture out into the city and they're going to be looking for attractions. And that's what these things do, is dual purpose. But they then sat on that money. Why? Because the CDB puts foreign exchange in the central bank to prop up the reserves to make them look pretty. That's all they're doing. And then we had Salt Pond Phase 2 that the BTI did. That was also another flood mitigation project, which helped Spike's Town. So the flooding out of Spike Town is not as bad as it used to be. And this is part of the vision of your Prime Minister and the Cabinet of Barbados, is to take the money in grants, in loans, and invest in infrastructure. Not just pay wages and salaries. So the truth is, my friends, that Tyra and myself, we have a home in the Barbados Labour Party. A home that has the policies and legislation and nation-building work that we have a privilege to participate in. And it has been deeply fulfilling. So it would be remiss of me if I did not speak about housing and home ownership. And this is a continuation of the service that I can give to my country. And the truth is, in our manifesto, we lay out the vision for housing in this country. That strategy comprises of transferring ownership of housing units to tenants through the vesting of property legislation. And I can tell you, when the Terrorist Units Act was passed in 2013, and they had to convey piece by piece by piece the properties to people, we said that can't work. Because you know the Prime Minister is not patient when it comes to empowering Barbadians. So we said we're going to do them in bulk. We're going to invest 204 in the first instance, and then we have another 400 to vest, empowering Barbadians with ownership. This is low-hanging fruit, and this is without building a brick, you know. So I had the honor and privilege of speaking in Ferniehearst. And I went to the first person on my list in the vesting bill. That was a man called Horace Bailey, right there in the corner of Ferniehearst. And I said, Horace, your unit is yours. And then I went to Santia's meeting yesterday. I did this, so I told me not true. I did the same thing. Call off the names on the list. Congratulations. Your unit is now your property. But so I told me we could do a property. You could take that title to the bank, get a loan, help your children with the education. Well, exactly. That's what you can do with ownership. And that is what we are about, empowering people. Because at the heart of it all, you think that we just come up with slogans. When labor leads, Bejas. But that at its heart is empowering people through the Labour Party. That is a fact. We succeed, but we ain't stopping there. What I would tell you is that we even got old legislation from the Tom Adams days that we still manipulate to this day. The Tenantry Freehold Purchase Act. It has aged like a fine wine. You know? Like Dame Billy Miller, aged like a fine wine of that era. A beautiful lady. I love her so much. But the thing about it is that my first act as the Minister of Housing was to take a resolution to Parliament that used that landmark legislation to empower Barbadians at River Bay, St. Lucie. We were able to say we can sell 10 lots of land at $2.50 a square foot for non-tenantry land. But that is not all, because that legislation was amended later by another administration to include that elderly people will get their lots for free. So out of the 10, I was able to try to sell lots, 7 of those 10 lots, to elderly Barbadians who have been there on that land for decades. Do you know how empowering that is? Might have feel so good to do that. You could imagine that those people were on those lands forever. And the truth is, we are doing more work in the ministry to empower Barbadians. Also in 6 Men's. You already hear Colin talk about it. It's called the 6 Men's Life Improvement Project. And we surveying lots every day up there so that we can then transfer land to them too, so that they can enjoy the ownership, the joy of land in this country. That is an empowering thing. And that is what this party is about. And we can build too. We can build houses. This year, I promise you, we can take off and build and build and build through ventures, whatever it takes. I just came from the city of Bridgetown, and I told them that we got units coming in Mason Hall Street. We got units coming in Wellington Street. Because we know that in these urban communities, the firebug always about here. Tyra, you're going to find out too, when you enter into the hallowed halls of Parliament, fire is a real thing. And you got to come to the aid of people. So when you hear Ralph talk about gain away this and gain away that, we can use those same derelict buildings to build emergency housing. And we have those pilot projects coming this year, people. So Tyra, God forbid, I ain't got no word to knock on, but God forbid that you are afflicted with that and have to deal with that and come out your bed in the middle of the night. Because when a fire happens, don't matter what you're doing, you got to get up and go and help those people. Yes, ma'am. That is the truth. And by erecting these buildings and putting in emergency housing, if that was to ever happen to my sister Tyra or Marcia, they will have some place to put people. That is what is important to this Barbados Labour Party. And let me tell you, you heard Marcia talk about it up in George Street when they shut the gates on the young people and the old people too. They shut the gates for my sister Tyra. What? They've got to be crazy. That girl's a talented woman. Not true? Y'all are so lucky. And the truth is that the Barbados Labour Party embraces youth and talent. And we are committed to having the youth have a voice in this country and also have a voice in Parliament. So when I look at my girl Tyra, I'm sure many times she was told that I cannot go here, I cannot go there in politics. But look how far she has come. And she has much further to go. That is why I am proud to be part of a party that believes in young people and gives them the opportunity to do great things with their lives. And we're going to start here with Tyra, and we're going to start there. Ryan too, we're bringing him in too. And that's the thing about our Prime Minister. She went to look for me. I did just about cheap side down in there. She went to look for me. You want to serve? Yes, ma'am. Reporting for duty. And we're going to bring in more. So let Ralph shut the door on them. We're going to take them. And I told them in the city, Michael Lashley, you are a man that believes in people first. And we, Peter Phillips, everybody coming home together. So my friends, again, when Labour leads, and come February 11th, what are you going to do? We together with, thank you, God bless, and good night.